Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the OCE Secondary School League. This is the Honor Slip match. Again, this is round 4, and if you're just joining us, you missed an incredible game 1 between Legacy of Alford, who took that in a very interesting and objectified way of winning in comparison to Bellina Boys. But now we're into game 2, and the bans are ready, and Graves being banned away, but also Nidalee, and that's a target to Hectox.
Yeah, it did so much work for Hectox last game. The spears coming in just doing so much damage, and we saw Hectox being a capable Nidalee player. He knew when the right time to pounce forward and assassinate people was. He did get the roam going. He got a lot of traps down for map vision. So definitely a targeted ban, and definitely a very good ban, I think, coming out of the side of Bellina Boys.
That is absolutely true. Ari being banned away, taken away off from Gopher Nuts, and you'd think maybe an Annie ban might be warranted after the performance he did in the previous game.
Yeah, he got extremely fed on Annie. I mean, he was, for a large part of the game, he was the biggest threat on Bellina Boys on that Annie, always getting 2 kills instantly with his combo. But, I mean, I guess Legacy of Alford feel confident enough to let him have that Annie again, but we'll have to see with the bans.
Have to see the last ban coming out.
What reckon do you think could be the last bans roundup for both teams?
Well, Jarvan's pretty
Jarvan,
yeah. I don't know. Maybe Rek'Sai, maybe Aurelia. I don't know. Aurelia did do a lot of work. I mean, I think an Aurelia ban would go a long way. But
that Rek'Sai ganking early, that last game was really pivotal in the early game to snowball some of the lanes.
Yeah, it was. I think both of them are equally strong bans. But yeah, we'll have to see what they go with. But it is
Morgana.
Okay.
Decide to ban away from Huddy-san. He didn't have that big of a performance on Morgana. If anything, it was just a generic Morgana play. Just walk in, soul shackle Zonya's done. You've done your job. So an Aurelia ban would have definitely been more warranted. I mean, 482 did a fantastic play as Aurelia, but instead they lock in the Annie. They're taking it away from Gopher. Guess we're trying to teach him the lesson how to properly play the Annie.
Well, we'll have to see Battle of the Annies, who's the better. But, I mean, it's not necessarily even going to mid, remember? I mean, with Morgana banned away, Annie becomes even stronger as a support. Her stun, her combo at bot lane becomes even more terrifying when there is that black shield that you can't rely on. We'll see if it's like a pick just to deny. We'll see if it's like a deny pick or if it's a pick that somebody wanted, but it's definitely a good thing, for sure.
And his support is very strong in this current patch, so I wouldn't be surprised if that was the situation.
And definitely, as we were saying, I mean, Annie carried so hard last game, did so much work. Taking it away, definitely a good Legacy of L4, definitely a very wise decision for this first pick.
Now, Bellina Boys are hovering over that Maokai and the Vi. Blue Branders did quite a good job on that Vi. Very aggressive, very potent. Was able to 1v1 the Aurelia, but instead they're going to lock in the Malphite.
Ooh.
I'm sensing a Yasuo pick, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
That would be amazing. That would go so well with these 2 picks. I mean, Vi just does so much work, especially in the current patch, and also especially with Jarvan banned away and Nidalee. She's probably the next highest top jungler, along with Rengar. He does lock it in. A very good pick as well for the jungle.
Frank's not going back on that Rek'Sai, probably finding more comfort in that Rengar, like he said. But now the Maokai being hovered over Hectox, you'd think he might go out for the Aurelia just out of comfort because he did such a fantastic performance on the Aurelia. But Maokai taking on Malphite, how's that matchup normally looking out?
It's a farm fest forever. Like, assuming the junglers stay out of it. I mean, Malphite can't really die, and Maokai can't really die, but we'll see. I mean, you'd assume, yeah, Turnhead does have TP this time, which is good. I was going to say that if he was going to go Ignite on these, then no way, but there is going to be double teleport. Definitely teleport for Maokai when he swaps over to Fort E2, and teleport on this Malphite. I think that's a much more wise decision because we did talk about it at the beginning of last game, but Jace with Ignite really, I think, was the cause of Legacy of L4 getting so many dragons, because Aurelia was there instantly whenever they needed her, but he had to walk down. And I think that's definitely the reason that Legacy got so many dragons last game. So we'll have to see if the teleport on the Malphite helps out with that.
And now we've seen Belina boys hovering over Xerath and Draven. I'm pretty sad that's not a Yasuo because Yasuo would make this comp so potent. Even an Orianna would work incredibly well with the ball
Ooh,
delivery system.
yeah.
But instead, they lock in that Xerath. So they got the range harassed and taking a book out of LeBron James trying to go for the three throws when he gets the ultimate up.
Maybe I wonder if they thought that the Annie pick was going to go mid, or if they thought it would be support. Because Xerath is pretty strong against Annie in mid. I mean, just poke her out, especially with the barrier. You're a lot more sort of I mean, what's the word? Yeah, you're more versatile. Like you can survive the Annie flash all in with the barrier, and yeah, maybe that's what they thought. They thought Annie was going to go mid, and it was a counter pick. But we'll have to see how that lane goes.
They got Ostrich hovering over the Lucian. He in fact locks that in. That's a very comfort pick for himself. He was a monster late game and previous game as well. He got, what was it, up to 500, 600 CS near the end of that?
Yeah, it was absolutely
Like,
crazy. He was just sort of
farm fest.
yeah, he was sitting bot most of the game, just sort of pushing just so hard. He took the inner turret when there was all these skirmishes going on in mid. He took the inner bot turret. So he's pushing just so hard. CS'd so much on that Lucian and got early kills. He snowballed that game very well from bot lane, that Lucian did. And of course, Leona being locked in as well definitely helps it out. The level 2, we sort of mentioned it last game, the level 2 Lucian power spike is good, but it's just so much stronger with Leona. If once again, if they push, if they hit level 2 first on the side of Legacy of Elford, Leona hits an E into a Q, that's summoner spells, maybe even a kill coming in, especially if it's on somebody like Draven.
Mm-hmm.
As if they don't lock in Yasuo. I mean, if they put in the Braum, come on, this is like, it's like a kid in a candy store type thing. He just walks in a candy store and just like, I'm in heaven. This is the best place in the world. That's like the best comp for Yasuo, if anything. Like, it got Malphite knockup, Vi knockup, Braum knockup. Even Draven has the splitting of the Red Seas ability and just like pushes aside everybody saying, I'm the king and whatnot. Oh, I'm a bit gutted that it's not locked in, but
Yeah, it would have been such a strong pick, I agree, for this comp. Just, I guess maybe not a comfort pick, not a pick that he really wants to
Yeah.
play in. I mean, Annie is really strong against Yasuo in lane at least, but I mean, if you look once you look past lane with all the knockup CC, really strong.
Speaking of looking past lane, if you take a look at the team composition for Team Elford, obviously this is very much all in. So if Leona decides to buy something like a Righteous Glory, for instance, there's just no stopping them steamrolling over if they don't get poked out fast enough.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, engaging onto the Draven, onto the Xerath with I mean, in a team fight situation, 5v5, that Rengar is going to just sprint in. Leona and Maokai are going to back him up. You can't really stop a Leona and Maokai. I mean, they're just going to be so tanky, especially when you've got like a Xerath. Xerath isn't going to be able to one-shot one of them. The team fight for Legacy is just looking so scary. Lucian and Annie can just sort of sit back as they have 3 people going. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if II Brinks builds very heavy damage on this Rengar, seeing as they have got the brick up in the top lane that's Maokai, and obviously Leona crazy tanky as well. But I mean, we'll have to see, but I definitely would expect to see a lot of damage being built on that Rengar.
Absolutely going for the 100 to 0 build, looking for jumps onto Draven and Xerath right there. Very easy picks.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, once again, I mean, if you dive in too early on that Rengar, you got Vile, you got Malphite. Oh, Draven obviously has a lot of bursts, and then Braum as well. So I think watching the Rengar in these team fights is going to be really interesting because if he goes in too early, he's just going to get completely, blown up by the crowd control, and sort of kited by Draven and Xerath. But I don't know. We'll definitely have to see. We'll have to see how much Xerath can poke down before the engage starts.
there really is no mobility coming out from Xerath or even Funeral Parlor on that Draven. They don't have those blink or dash or jump-like abilities. So it's going to be very reliant on how well can the rest of the team peel for them. You've got Leona's ultimate that's just come and locked them down, followed by Tibbers. That just AoE lockdown for consistent duration, plus also 40 to a Maokai just going in, Rengar going in, like just able to jump right onto their backline just from one button. It's Leona's like, all right, guys, go in, charge, and big sun rays destroys everybody, and
Yeah,
no
I mean,
one's
especially that I would be, terrified if I was that Draven, because he's going to have Leona jumping on him, Rengar jumping on him, Maokai trying to get to him as well, and Annie flash. And if they take out Draven, if Legacy manage to take out Draven early in a fight, they're just going to win because there's not too much damage coming out. Assuming Vi goes a similar build as we saw last game, one damage item and then goes fairly tanky, because Draven's going to be out. Xerath, you know, he scales well into the late game, but especially early mid game, his damage is not fantastic. So positioning on Funeral Parlor's Draven has to be so strong. Otherwise, he's just going to get taken out of the fight, and then Legacy is just going to steamroll that fight once he's dead.
And that's definitely something he needs to work on, was his positioning. If we look back into the previous game, honestly, he was just non-existent in any of the fights whatsoever, not till the very end. It was not until, like, literally, I think it was when they went and got their 5th dragon stack for the Legacy of Alford. That's when finally Funeral Parlor came in and started to do some damage. And if he's going to be the main damage dealer for his team, for Belina Boys, he has to be existent. He has to position and show his presence in the future fights and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. You're so right. I mean, especially on Draven as well. If you don't play aggressive early, I mean, that's when he's arguably his strongest, is that his early cash in into an item, and then he snowballs from there. If he's non-existent, similar to early game and mid game last game, then Draven's just going to fall off and become non-relevant. He needs to be in these fights. He needs to have clever positioning, and he needs to pick up kills early in order to be able to snowball.
Mm-hmm.
He
Well,
really. Sorry, go ahead.
No, as you're going.
Well, he needs to. If he plays passive like he did on the Jinx, I think you'll see a similar thing of Legacy just snowballing off dragons just again and again and again, and they really can't let that happen because the game was quite even last game. The thing that really, nail in the coffin for Belina Boys was just when Legacy got 5 dragons, and there's nothing they can really do. So, yeah.
If anything, though, Funeral Parlor, you have to kind of also say he did disconnect and didn't really connect till a couple minutes into game as well. So he came into lane already